Good morning. Happy Columbus Day. Actually, didn't even realize it was Columbus Day until a minute ago. In Jersey, Columbus Day is a big day. Everybody gets off of work, and it would have fell on a Monday, so it would have been a great 3-day weekend. There's parades, schools out. Down here in Florida, I guess because there's not as many Italians. In Jersey, in my neighborhood where I grew up, either you were Italian or you were part Italian like myself. My mother's father came from Italy. My father's father came from Ireland. But down here in Florida, there's not too many of us Italians. So I didn't even know. Like I said, I looked on the calendar because I have a great, some good information, some good news rather. Steve Ray will be on Blue Collar Catholic Saturday, and I wanted to get the date, is October 16th. Now, Steve Ray, if you're not familiar with him, he's a Catholic author and Catholic apologist. And honestly, if I were to join a 50 and over basketball league and I got to pick anyone in the world, my first pick on my team would be Michael Jordan. If I were going to debate a couple of evangelicals that knew their Bible really well, my first pick as a teammate would be Steve Ray. Now, I'm sure there's theologians in the Catholic Church that know more, but I can't think of a better apologist. See, an apologist is a defender of the faith. An apologist not only knows the faith well, but they know how to defend it, almost like a salesman for Christ. And Steve Ray is just the perfect combination of humor. He's a funny guy. He's bold and courageous. He's smart and interesting, engaging. He just has all the tools to convince you the Catholic faith is the one true faith, the true religion. So I'm really excited. I was so excited that I'm like, hey, we could talk about this and this. And I had about 12 different subjects I wanted him to discuss and defend the faith on, different doctrines and objections to the Catholic faith. And he wrote back to me. I said, but I really respect you and trust you. So, I'll take your advice. And he said, well, I think we should stick to 2 topics. Otherwise, we'll sound like we're rambling. And when I told my wife that, she goes, wow, he sounds like a very wise man. I said, yeah, he don't know that I'm the master of rambling. It's no coincidence that Zeppelin's Ramble On is one of my favorite tunes of all time. But yeah, so good advice from Steve Ray, but he let me pick the 2 topics, and so I thought long and hard, and the 2 biggest objections, because Steve Ray, if you don't know, he's a former Baptist, so like me, we were evangelicals for a long time before we came home to the Catholic Church, so he knows the objections very well that an evangelical, Baptist, Pentecostal, non-denominational, charismatic, he knows the objections very well because we had those objections. So I picked the 2 biggest ones, the 2 that I think that wins them over. Like, if you can convince them of these two topics, you can bring them over to the Catholic faith. So I picked what I thought were the top 2, and he was like, perfect. He agreed. But also, when I had announced that Steve Ray agreed to come on my show, we just had to work out the schedule. He could have came weeks ago, but I couldn't work it out because I'm not this high tech guy, so I always got to have my son available, and he's been working a lot of hours. So Saturday was like the only day that Steve Ray could make it and my son could make it. So we're gonna do like we always do on Blue Collar Catholic. I'm gonna record him at about 10 o'clock, and then right after we just update it, raw, unedited. I told him, if there's any bloopers, they're gonna see it. So. But if anybody's going to make a blooper, it's going to be me. Steve Ray is a very awesome speaker. So when I had announced it, going back, when I had announced them the first time, I gave some hints. And I said, who can ever guess who it is gets to ask the first question. So only one person guessed. I really didn't give that many hints. Like I didn't say it's a guy with 2 first names, That would have gave it away. But I just gave a few hints, and one of my subscribers guessed. And he gave a very surprising question, a great question, and that's going to be the first question out of the gate, and then I'll ask my two other questions. But he gave a really good question that I would have never thought of. Honestly, I can honestly say I would have never thought of that. And Steve Ray thought it was a great question too. And Steve Ray was like the perfect guy to ask this question. He is the perfect guy. So 3 questions, but I guarantee you do not want to miss this. So subscribe, hit the bell. So, Saturday you're reminded to check this out. Please, you're not going to miss this. This guy is awesome. Steve Ray, Saturday, October 16th. And remember, we can do all things through Christ who gives us strength. Nothing's impossible for them who believe. This is in the Bible and this is true. And I'm just reminded with this channel, and all you guys, you just write me encouraging words. And sometimes even when you disagree with me, it's encouraging because you don't condemn me. You just tell me where you think I'm wrong and you lovingly rebuke me. So I love all you guys, and just know wherever you're at in life, God can change anything. If you have a dream in your heart, you have a desire, know that God put that there. He created you. He created you. He knew you before you were even knitted by him in your mother's womb. And just trust him and ask him to fulfill these dreams, and he will give you the desires of your heart. I've always wanted to talk to guys like Steve Ray and Scott Hahn. I would never imagine in a million years that I could do it. And God's allowing it. Just a regular bum, blue collar guy, talking to these great authors. It's amazing. I'm reminded when I went to Pinklon Thomas, former heavyweight champion of the world, invited me into his home to do a YouTube video with him. This was a man of God who's addicted to heroin and became champion of the world. And I got to meet him and talk to him and videotape it, and was offered free lessons by a champ, that I've been wanting to take him up on it, but life is so busy I haven't been able to get over there. But speaking of champs, what about Tyson Fury? And from what I understand, Tyson Fury is a Catholic Christian. So if anybody knows Tyson, tell him I would love to talk to him about his faith and his boxing career. Because if I was in a bar fight and I got to pick one guy, he'd be the guy I picked to be on my side. So God bless, stay Catholic, and please tune in on Saturday, October 16th. And if you're buying or selling real estate, please go to realestateforlife.org and get out of those blue states and come to Florida or Texas or Mississippi. God bless, stay Catholic.